Hi and welcome to my channel, and in this video I'm going to do a review of the Dayan Master F-Skewb. Now they call this the Master Skewb, and that is incorrect. I don't know why these puzzle companies use false names for all kinds of puzzles, misleading names. This is not a Master Skewb, it is a Master F-Skewb. Now this is the regular F-Skewb, and basically 4 corners turn as dino turns, whereas the other 4 turn as skewb turns. And it's the same exact principle here. You have 4 corners that turn as dinos, and then you have 4 that turn as skewbs. And a Master Skewb, even though this looks like a Master Skewb, an actual Master Skewb would basically have all skewb turns only, and this would be like a middle layer, so it would be 2 layers, like a 3x3 skewb, whereas the regular skewb is a 2x2. So what can I say? I really love this puzzle. You know, I was hesitant about getting it for a long time. I was always put off by the fact that, you know, it's advertised as a Master Skewb and it's not actually a Master Skewb. And also these trivial tips that we have on some of the corners. I personally, I don't like trivial trivial tips on any puzzles like the Pyraminx or certain others, and this one. But on this puzzle, it actually does play a slight role. Even though it is trivial, it does confuse you a little bit, because once this thing is scrambled, it can get confusing. You get mixed up sometimes about which turns are the dino turns and which ones are the skewb. It's more confusing, I find, than this one. This one is fairly obvious. What's the dino turn and what's a skewb? You could see by the off-center cuts that are very visible. On this one, everything looks symmetrical. So just looking at it, you can't really tell what's the dino turn and what's the skewb turn. And so when you scramble the trivial tips in the initial stage, it does, you know, add to the confusion a little bit. So as far as the solve, it's a really fun solve. A lot of it is quite similar to this one, and I would say it is slightly more challenging, you know, obviously, since it's a master version of this, and even more so due to the confusion aspect, that you don't realize which turns are what until the later stages of the solve. Once you're already reducing these strips, then it's more obvious, but in the beginning it's a little bit more confusing. And so and you could see like the difference of this puzzle. Basically, like, let's say I make like this, like this, like this, like this. You could see it's kind of like an ivy cube with corners, you know, and you add dino cuts to it. So that's essentially what it is. And the same thing with this one, basically. Just turn this back, and you can get a parity on this one as well, where a single corner is turned. I've gotten that one time so far. Like, I try to be careful about positioning. I know about setting it up in the beginning to avoid that parity, but sometimes you make like one wrong turn, and in the end, unexpectedly, you could end up with that parity. But it's fairly easily fixed the same way as this puzzle. It's quite intuitive. And but I think you cannot get the parity where the 3 corners need to be cycled, where you could get it on this one, but not on this one. But you do get the one where the single one is rotated. So what can I say? Turning is really fun solve, and really nice addition to my collection. Speaking of which, I'm hoping soon to do an updated video on my collection, as I've been getting more puzzles. I still have a few more on the way, and I want to wait until those arrive before I do the video on it. But basically, my collection at this point, I have pretty close to 100 puzzles in total. And yeah, so that'll be all for this video. Thank you for watching. Until next time.